we've got to start somewhere. And it might be this. Hi, my name's Kathy. I like to read, and that's pretty much it. I've already tried to film a video today and it just didn't work out. I realised I'm not very concise, can't remember stuff, because that's the thing about me, like I forget. So it's like I get to relive stuff again. Not great if I'm trying to do a wrap up and tell you my thoughts and feelings, because I can't even remember my thoughts and feelings. So instead I thought I will tier rank every book that I've read so far this year, which is 22 books. Let's go, shall we? So because I did film a video earlier, I can kind of remember what order I read these in. So the first book I read for the year was Quicksilver. Amazing, total vibes. So vibes is a phrase coined by a partner Jordan, where it's like 5-star feeling or giving 5-star vibes. So I class stuff that are like high 4s or better than a 4 and 5 in the vibes. I've never had a book that I class as like 6-star infinity star just yet. Always hoping for that, but yeah, so should probably go through the categories. So you've got amazing, total 5, so 5 stars, or really high 4s. This is future editing Kathy realising that there's a clip missing. It's my first YouTube video, so obviously there's going to be an issue. My little camera, it got overheated. I think one of the files have corrupted or something like that. It was just in this part I was explaining my tier ranking, how, yeah, the top category is amazing, total 5, so it's like the stuff that's like 5 stars and gives 5-star feelings, or like top high 4s, stuff like that. Then the next category is 8 it up, but there's room for more. So like I really enjoyed it, but it's not like there was always room for more. I don't really have many 5 stars. I think I've got 3 since I started reading in April of last year. So like 4 is like, it's still really good. Some of the 4s potentially could be 5s, but that's why it's like 8 it up, but there's room for more, because yeah. Then I've got A Silly Fun Time, so it's like, it's nice, it's good. I'd still recommend stuff like this because it's fun time, just having a silly fun time. And then we've got, might not be for me, but it might be for you. This is more for books that I know, I can understand why people like them, and a lot of the time it's books that are really quite popular, but they just weren't for me. Not necessarily bad books, because I don't know what you classify as a bad book, but some of my favourite books potentially are like badly written, or the story's been done before, so I don't know what you classify as a bad book. Yeah, just not for me. And then I've got Should Have DNF'd, which isn't really, I don't really DNF books. I'm a sucker for seeing it through, because I think, well, if I didn't like the first one, what if I love the second one? So I don't really DNF books. I think I was just mostly talking about Quicksilver, how I loved it, loved the fae elements, loved the understanding her power. I don't have a physical copy of this yet because I was trying to find the one with the reversible dust jacket, but I can't seem to find them. I've I've gone and pre-ordered Brimstone already, and I'm going to an event to meet Callie Hart, or have an evening with her, where I'm going to get a signed copy of Quicksilver, so then I'll have the 2 hardbacks. The second book I read of the year was Metal Slinger, and I put this in A Silly Fun Time because it was so popular on Book Talk. It got so many hypes, everyone loved it, and everyone talks about the twist, and the twist was good, and I liked it. It was just something about it just wasn't quite for me. It's not a long book, but I found it quite difficult to read. I think I rated it 3 stars in the end, and I found that it was confusing. There wasn't quite enough world building. It was quite slow in the middle, but I am intrigued to carry on with the series, especially with the twist at the end. It's just one of them where I didn't understand the hype. I then started one of my favourite series, which is the Kindra's Curse saga. So I'm putting this one in 8 up, but there's room for more. So Spark of the Everflame, you've got Spark of the Everflame, Glow of the Everflame, Heat of the Everflame. I cannot wait for Burn of the Everflame. I just need it in my soul right now. There's not even a release date, and I've just seen that Pen Cole is coming to the UK, but she's not coming north. Hopefully there'll be times in the future. I'd love to get some really cool copies of this, because I really love this book. I nearly pre-ordered them from somewhere, but in my soul, until I've read the final one, I'm not sure if I want to get any like special limited edition copies. To Spark, I loved it. I thought it was a great setup for the book. So many people don't like Diem as a character, but I think she's really like reasonable. I can understand her thinking. I think the world is really good. I liked the second book, which is why it's amazing, total fives, because it was giving me like 5-star feelings, and I think the second is my favourite. And then we've got Heat. Now Heat was also really good. I did not realise how long Heat was, because I read it on Kindle until I see people getting the trophy books, which I need to get my trophy books. And it is a chunky book, and it was a bit slow at times, but it was totally worth it. Same way that Kingdom of Ash is a chunky book, but totally worth it. So the series as a whole is total 5-star feelings. I'm so anticipating. Like, when we've got a release date, that will be like a 5-star prediction for me. The only thing that I did do slightly wrong is that in the middle of reading Glow of the Everflame and Heat of the Everflame, I read Onyx Storm. I rated Fourth Wing 4 stars and Iron Flame 3 stars. Onyx Storm was 3.75 to me. So I think it was a silly fun time. I personally think that this series has got so popular so quickly. I think maybe I'm reading it at the wrong time. I think potentially I would have enjoyed it if there was more books out and there wasn't the anticipation waiting. Because I think there's going to be like six or seven books in the series, which is a bit too long for me to wait. Onyx Storm was a bit slow. I can't say too much because it's a sequel. But yeah, it was okay. I did read this at the time because I didn't want to see any spoilers or anything. However, I wish I'd have continued my Kindred's Curse saga and then potentially gone into it. I think I would have enjoyed it more that way. I will continue with the series, however, I don't think I'll be rushing to buy the next copy. But it's not going to be out until 2027, so who knows what I'll have read by then. Maybe I'll be over it. But in general, I like the dragons. I like the relationships with the dragons in particular. I like the side characters. I don't mind Violet and Xaden. They're not my favourite because I feel like they're quite repetitive. Yeah, I do enjoy an academy setting, which you'll probably find out soon. What should I read next? I think... Let's have a look. Yes, next I read the Powerless trilogy. This is my controversial opinion, I fear. So we have Powerless, Powerful, and Reckless. So I actually read it as Powerless, Reckless, and then Powerful, but chronologically Powerful is between Powerless and Reckless. Powerless, it was okay. I think I rated Powerless 2.75 stars. I rated Reckless 3 stars, and then Powerful 3.5 stars. Powerful is a novella, and it was my favourite of them so far. Fearless has recently come out, however, I'm not rushing to read it. I'm in a waitlist for it on my library because I don't want to get a hardback when I've got the paperback copies. I just felt like Powerless, I've seen it before. It was fine. It was Games and Trials. I'm a Hunger Games stan. I loved that book growing up, and I fear it was too similar for me to feel like it hadn't been done before. I really enjoyed the novella. I really enjoyed Powerful. I think that was really good. I liked following that character's POV. And I preferred Reckless to Powerless. Getting it mixed up. I preferred Reckless to Powerless because I enjoyed the characters, but it felt like because they were in the same scenario that we've seen before with the Games and Trials and the Powerless one and the ones with magic and all of that, I liked seeing them in a different scenario. So I did enjoy Reckless, even though I know that potentially is a controversial opinion. I will read Fearless when I can get a copy of it. I'm just, again, in no rush to it. And at this point, I was kind of a bit sceptical of YAs. In the past, I don't mind YAs in terms of, like, I don't... Depend on how they're done. Fantasy romance is the main thing that I read. However, spice isn't an indicator if I enjoy the writing or not. Give or take spice. I can have it or cannot. A lot of the time, I like the themes that are in the more adult books, and then the spice just comes alongside it. I next read Watermoon. I have a stunning Illumicrate copy. It might be on my shelf here somewhere. You might be able to see it. I read this because I was like confused. Do you know what? Onyx Storm put me in a proper slump, and then I read the Powerless trilogy, which I didn't love. So I just went to him and was like, what should I read next? And he went, one of your pretty books. So I read that one. This was cute. It was cozy. It was like a fantasy, but it was like a cozy fantasy, I would say, and I've never read anything like that before. It had lots of Japanese references that I found really interesting. I should have said this as well. So for a lot of Powerless and Watermoon, I did listen to it on the audiobook, because I am this in between where if I'm not enjoying a book, the audiobook helps me get through it. If I'm really enjoying a book and I just want to keep binging it, the audiobook helps with that, because I've got quite a long commute to work. Watermoon, really cute, really sweet. Happy to have read it. Happy to have the beautiful copy on my shelves. And I do want to be one of those people that actually reads my subscription books, because they're there to be read. I would love to have really precious books, but I'm a spine breaker. Not intentionally, but it just happens, and I like tabbing. I don't write in my books or highlight. But when I see other people doing it, I think it looks really cute, right? I next read The Crimson Moth duology. Now, annoyingly, because I've downloaded these from my Goodreads, this one says Heartless Hunter, which is the US name. Crimson Moth, 5-star, easy. First 5-star of the year. I got a lot of 5-star feelings, but this was just chef's kiss. Great. And then the next one to go with it, Rebel Witch, which again was ate this up, but room for more. I thought The Crimson Moth was so good. It felt like true enemies. Spoiler to lovers. I love the witchy elements. I thought Rune as an FMC was great. I actually quite liked Gideon. He was quite grumpy, but he had like so much room to grow. The second one, I like the fact that it was a geology, so I knew what I was going into. However, with the second one, there were repetitive themes to an extent, but the last, must have been the last third of the book had me so hooked. I actually read that on BorrowBox, which is my library's subscription where I can get ebooks and audiobooks, so I was reading that on my iPad, like swiping away. Really enjoyed it. I'm really intrigued to see what else Kristen Ciccarelli has. I think she's got something coming out later this year. It's a reformatted version of Edward. I think it's called A Dark Forgetting. And I will say this put my faith back in YAs, because this is a YA. There's like romance, but not really any spice, and I really enjoyed it, and I thought it was done really well, and it didn't feel childish. Absolutely loved that. And then the next two I read was Riftborn and Dustbound. These were really fun. I get most of my recommendations from YouTube, BookTube, Book Talk, including What Emmy Reads, Ravenhair Reader, Laura Reads, Bailey's Bookshelf, loads of people like that. And then I think this is one of What Emmy Reads. I really like this. It was good. It was an academy setting. I love the trainer-trainee trope. I'm a big fan of something like that. It had elements of that. It had elements of... I love a montage where people are like coming into their powers and training them and getting better and stuff like that. I thought Riftborn was a bit confusing, but my questions were answered in Dustbound, which was the second one, and that was so good. That was really good. I liked all the extra elements, and it was really good. And if you loved the yearning in Riftborn, you'll love Dustbound as well, and the found family, and it was just really good. I don't know how many is going to be in this series, but I'm so happy to keep reading them. And the next I read was Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes. So I'm going to put this a silly fun time. I did rate it 4 stars. I did really enjoy it. I loved Hunger Games growing up. I think I've said I was a Hunger Games, Twilight, House of Night girly growing up. I think I've got all those books in my loft, which I would love to get out at some point. And with the new hype of Sunrise on the Reaping coming up, I knew I would need to read this, because even though I loved those 3 books, I was never really bothered by learning about President Snow's upbringing or POV, but I thought it was really good, and I can see why people don't like it, because he's not a likeable character, so you don't want to be in his head. But you start off the book realising that he's just a regular person, he's gone through all these things, and then slowly you see how he becomes the person he is today. I made my boyfriend, we watched all the films, and then because I read the book with a Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes book in preparation for Sunrise on the Reaping, I put that on hold at the library, and then I said to him about, I can't believe that I'm going to read Haymitch's story and I can't even talk to you about it. And he went, I can't believe you're going to make me read it. And I was like, yeah, sure. A nice prequel. A lot happened, actually, considering it's like 450 pages. So, really good. The next ones I read, and potentially more controversial, not sure. I read Caraval in preparation to read Once Upon a Broken Heart, which I have on my TBR cart behind me. Was it a silly fun time? Or was it maybe not for me, but could be for you? I think it is, Caraval, Legendary, Finale. I rated Caraval 3.5, Legendary 3.5, Finale 2.75, but because by the end I was over it, I was not enjoying it. I think the themes that you can see with this is that certain YAs are just not particularly for me. In Caraval, I thought that FMC was quite whiny and annoying. So I was going into the second one because I knew it was from a different POV, so I was quite glad about that. But yeah, then by the third book, I just wasn't bothered. I feel like the last book she crammed too much in. It was like she didn't know where to go with it, and it went all over the place, and it was all fast paced, and then suddenly it just ended. So yeah, so I feel like I will eventually get to Once Upon a Broken Heart, but as I can see, the theme with YA books aren't particularly for me, means that, yeah, maybe I'll wait a bit, I think. Oh, I've got some duplicates here. Oh, I guess we'll ignore those two. I next read Zodiac Academy and Ruthless Boys. I'm doing the Zodiac Academy. I've been really anticipating reading Zodiac Academy, however I knew it was a lengthy series. So the last series I read that was big, that was that interconnected, was all the Sarah J Maas books, and that was quite a lot, and I felt quite tired by the end of it. I felt like it was too much. But I'm ready to get into Zodiac Academy, because I want to read things like On Wings of Blood and Diabound, but people always reference Zodiac Academy, so to me it makes sense I need to read that one first to know what people are talking about. And as you can probably tell, I love an academy setting. I love the twins POV and going into their powers and all the different elements and phase and stuff like that. I am reading it in Jamie's, which is at That Girl Reads, her reading order, which is like the non-spoiler version. She's done a big YouTube video on it. So essentially I'm reading a bunch of Zodiac Academy, then I'm going into Ruthless Boys of the Zodiac, back to more Zodiac Academy and novellas, and then I'm reading Darkmoor Penitentiary. I think it's like 22 books in total or something like that, and I am ready for it. It is spicy. It's quite upsetting's not the word, but everyone was describing it as a bully romance. But where's the romance? There's not been much romance so far. Yeah, so maybe I'm hoping it'll get better, because some of it's quite like, upsetting's not the word, because it's not that sad, but I can see why it can be quite difficult to read. Really looking forward to continuing that. So I've read up to, spoiler for what I've read so far, I've read up to the 3rd Zodiac Academy, so I'm ready to move into the Ruthless Boys of the Zodiac, but I've kind of taken a pause to read some other stuff as well, and then I'll get back into it. And the last book that I've read from January to April 2025 was Lightlark, and yeah, this is a silly fun time. I really enjoyed it. Again, it was another YA, so I was quite hesitant. However, this is more, I know this is new, there's this thing called new adult, which is something, it's quite a new concept to me, but I liked it. I thought it was a bit confusing, and I have now read the second book, and I feel like things made more sense by the second book, but I just liked the idea of it. I liked the magic systems. Never read something with a love triangle, which is plastered all over about this book like this. Oh, it's a love triangle, love triangle, love triangle. And I'm not sure if this is a spoiler. The love triangle wasn't love triangling for a while. I do now have a firm favourite, and I'd like to see how it goes. I enjoyed it, however, it's not like amazing top tier up there for me, which is things like, well, as you can see, like Quicksilver, Kindred's Curse, Heartless Hunter, things like that. It was good. I enjoyed it. I think I rated it 3.75 stars, and I listened to some of it on the audiobook again because this was more because I was excited to read it rather than I just wanted to slog through it. So it was good. It was a great time. So that is my tier ranking every book I've read from January to April 2025. So I was going to start my YouTube by doing I think I would have done an April wrap-up or a May, no, because we're in May now. It would have been an April wrap-up. But then I saw Ellen, I can't remember her YouTube channel because she's just made a new one. Ellen Miller? Basically, she did an overview of every book she read so far, and it's like, oh, well, if she's going to do that, why can't I do that too? So this is what I've decided to do. And a type A in me loves it, because if this makes the light of day, which I hope it does, because this is the second time I've filmed something like this, then it'll have everything from 2025 in it, which is really like, scratches that itch in my brain. But yeah, so that is my tier ranking so far. I hope you enjoyed listening to me yap about books. I hope I'll be yapping in the future. I don't know what you can expect from this channel. I do work full time, I also study, and my cat's about to fight. Who knows? We are staring each other out. I hope you enjoyed this video, and hopefully you'll actually get to see it. I'll speak to you guys later. Oh, that was, God. Sometimes I'm talking to you like because I used to work in a restaurant. Sometimes I'm talking to you like I used to talk to them. So yeah, so thank you very much for watching, and I will see you soon. See you in the next one. Who knows? All right. Thanks. Bye. Oh. So you're still rolling.